Hi guys, so we're back. I hope you found that last section okay. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you're asking me in the discussion section in Canvas. So now we're going to graph. We're going to graph a logarithm. How many of you guys know how to graph a logarithm? None of you, because we haven't graphed logarithms, right? So if I can't write it as a logarithm, then what can I do? I know that I can switch it from my definition if I can't do anything as a log. And this is the whole thing about logarithms. If I can't do anything as a log, I can switch it to a exponential. The rule says, I'm going to write it right over here again. And if I use different letters, I'm so sorry. But it says log base x of b equals y. So if I have that, I can rewrite that as x to the y equals b. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite this. I probably shouldn't have used x and y because now these are in different spots. But f of x is just y, right? So I'm going to rewrite my function in another term. So I can rewrite this as 5 to the y equals x. Now I can do something about that because I know that I can find values. I can't find values of log base 5 of x, but I can find values of 5 to the y power. So I'm going to make a table to graph this. And instead of choosing my values for x, which I normally do, like when we're making a table, we normally choose our values for x, but whoever said I couldn't choose my values for y? If I choose my values for x, it still isn't going to do me any good to solve this. But if I choose my values for y, can I find out what x is? Well, yeah, I can. So I'm going to choose my values for x. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm going to choose my values for y and solve for x. Woo, doing good right now. So here we go. So I'm going to choose my values and I'm going to choose 5 values to make sure I get them. And they may or may not end up on my graph depending on how big my graph is, but I'm still going to choose 5. And I'm going to choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to start at the bottom. We're going to start at the bottom. So 5 squared is 25. And I'm going to write out here. So let me hate it when I do that in this program. I hit the wrong button here. So I'm going to say 5 squared, right? I just put this x, just so you guys know, I'm putting it right into there. So 5 squared equals 25. Then I'm going to do 5 to the first power, and that equals 5. And then I'm doing 5 to the 0th power, that equals 1. That is really an ugly 0. So I'm going to rewrite that over again. Sorry, guys. 5 to the 0th power. And then I'm going to do 5 to the -1 power. So for those of you who, I just want to go over this really quick. I know we have before, but I'm going to go over it again. Every time of these, I'm going down by 1 on this side, right? Okay, so what's happening on this side? How do I get from 5 to 25 and from 5 to 1? Well, I'm dividing by 5, right? Dividing by 5. Okay, you guys agree with that? So 5 to the -1, if my pattern continues, I'm going to divide by 5. So what is 1 divided by 5? Well, that is 1/5. Okay. So then I have 5 to the -2. Remember what we talked about. If it has a negative, it means my answer is going to be a fraction. And then I have just 5 squared, so that's 1/25. That's how I think. That's how I think about it. I say, oh, it's a negative exponent. That means it's going to be a fraction. And then it's just 5 squared, which is 25. Or 5 to the first power, which is 5. So now I want to graph those values on this graph, and I'm going to graph it just like xy. I'm not changing it. I have my table that says 1/25 -2. That's going to be kind of hard to graph, but I'm going to attempt to do it. 1/25 -2, super close to 0. And then 1/5 negative 1. It's a little bit further out there. And then I've got 1, 0 here. And 5, 1. Okay, and 25, 2. I can't get to 25, 2. I have a question for you. Is it ever going to cross 0? If I get more and more negative, as my y gets more and more negative, is x ever going to get to 0? No, right? It's going to get super close to 0, but it's never actually going to be 0. Good. And then my graph just kind of looks like this. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Okay, so that's the graph of a logarithm. That's what it looks like. Good job. We're going to do it one more time. Okay. So here we go. And I'm going to rewrite it again. I'm just going to rewrite it. I don't like it as a logarithm, so I'm going to rewrite it as an exponential. So I have, this is y. So I have 1/3 to the y equals x. Okay, so I'm going to do a table just like what I did. And I have my x values and I have my y values. And I have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to choose the same easy values. So 1/3 squared is 1/9. And 1/3 to the first power is 1/3. Awesome. And 1/3 to the 0th power? 1. Good. And 1/3 to the -1 is 3. So this is how I'm going to think about it. 1/3, let's see, 1/3 to the -1. Now remember, I said if it was a negative, I thought about it as a fraction, but this one's already a fraction. So if it's already a fraction, that means this is going through my brain now. If it's already a fraction and it's a negative exponent, that means that I'm going to flip my fraction. It's just going to flip. So that becomes 3/1, and then 3 to the first power is just 3. So that's how I'm thinking about it. And then this one is 1/3 to the -2, which is 3 squared, or 9. So that's how I think about that one. So 1/3 to the -2 is 9. So we're going to graph it. So I've got 9, x is 9, 2. And I've got 3, oh, not 2. You guys caught me. Okay, 9, -2. There we go. And we've got 3, -1. -1, whoo. And 1, 0. And 1/3, 1. And 1/9, 2. So again, same question as above. Is it ever, the bigger I get, like if I get to 100, 1/3 to the 100th, is it going to be close to 0? Is it going to cross 0? Is it ever going to get to 0? No. So it's just going to come super close to 0. So, oh, I missed my point. Try not to miss your point when you're graphing these. But there's my exponential graph. We're going to pause now so you guys can graph a few of these, and then we'll be back to finish a few more of these. So another section. So I'll see you in a few.